Cable plough is a technology used originally in America. Then the Germans took it on as well. Cables have been cable ploughed for about 40-50 years in Europe and in America. From an inch up to 500 mil of water main pipes or gas pipes.
So it's not just cables then?
No, not just cables, no. We've been doing it for 20 years. Doing it at lower voltage. Lower voltage, we've been doing water mains up to 150 mil, and we've been doing up to 33 to 66 kV cables. When you go over that voltage, 90% of the time the cables don't get laid into the ground. It's ducts that get laid, pipes for you, pipes get laid and they pull the cable through them after. Obviously all the route is mapped out ready for you. It's CAT surveyed, or all utilities, whatever company you work for, they've got different safety methods of looking for existing utilities. The trial hole will be done. The machine would go into the trial hole, and the cable would come through and you would install. We run FOIC spider ploughs. We run two different size of machines. One of them would weigh about 28 tonne and one would weigh about 16 tonne. The 28 tonne machine can lay up to 2.8 metres deep with a wading capacity of 2 metres. That's if we had a permit for a river, we can work in through 2 metres of water and still lay at 2.8 metres deep. That machine would have a much greater breakout force in rock because we would put double winch capacity on it, which would be pulling roughly about 350 tonne through the ground. If you do get into a stage where you have hard rocks and boulders, and you know of that area, you would go through with a bigger excavator and break the rock out and maybe fill that cavity back then with softer cavity and continue ploughing through. That's all in the prep before the machine gets there. If you're breaking rock out, you would need to be breaking about 1 metre wide out, because when the plough comes through, it would need expansion of the ground. If a plough is going on its own, it will be running about 500 to 800 mil wide of a scar in that ground. The slot is closed up with an excavator. If we would be on a fairly large voltage job, we'd be running like a 20 to 25 ton excavator behind with a compactor wheel on it instead of a bucket, by just compacting that groove back down to a level where it was before we started. We have been given a job now out in Holland with a transmission company out there to go up to higher voltage again. Again, we can go to a higher voltage because, again, we're only laying the pipes. So it doesn't really affect us what they pull in behind. So for those higher voltage pipes, we are pulling one in at a time with a gap of 1 metre, then another one, which technically is easier for us because the machine works on GPS. So it can lay one, then another one, then another one. So it's three then in that 3 metre section. In 2 metre section, sorry, you've got 3 ducts there, so that's even easier for us. So
is that 3 passes?
It's 3 passes, yes.
Yeah,
3 passes. But those passes are quicker to do because you're only putting one pipe in at a time. Again, in Europe, they are pulling cable lengths up to 2 kilometres in at a time. If the pulling capacity is too high for them, they're a specialist company out there now, which will push the cable through by water, hydro push it. So we can hydro push a cable, but by laying the ducting system we lay, because it's like a continuous water main, they can push that cable now up to 8-9 k's from one position. So you don't need to get the heavy equipment into every position. So they can push the cable up. If it's a very bad area where you can't get HTVs, they push the cable up through the pipe. if you're doing a ducted job with plenty of people doing your auxiliary work, it would do about 2 kilometers a day. If we were ducting high voltage cables, if there's people in front of you speaking to people doing the hedge line works and welding the pipes in front of you, the machine will do 2 kilometers a day. We plough very often now with animals in the field. Some animals, some cows are fairly inquisitive, so sometimes we just pull a temporary electric fence up for that day if they're willing to behave with it, just to keep them out. When most landowners would keep the animals out while you're in that field. When yes, that's not a problem. They can be back there that day. Lower voltage stuff is all done in a joint hole. A local joint hole doesn't need much. That would be a joint hole about 2 meters by 1 meter on the lower voltage. As you go up in voltage, and they need more room because the joints are bigger. The jointers would need more room. Once you go up above 66 to 132, then the joint bays get even bigger again. The companies we work for out in Holland and Germany, they have like a 22-foot shipping container. You need to make a hole big enough. They drop that shipping container in, and the jointers work in there doing the joints. And they would take 2-3 days doing that joint, and the container is lifted off, and the joint hole is reinstated. Yes, it can be done up slopes. We plough up very, very steep slopes. Yes, we can plough up slopes, yes, is the answer here. Normally it's slopey ground and wet ground we get, because that's what the machines are designed for. Down slopes, most of the time, this will sound absolutely stupid, but most of the time we want to plough up slopes because we have so much winch capacity. We have better control going up than going down. So it's up slopes we would be ploughing mostly here. The machine will cross a steep gradient, what I was telling you earlier about the wheels going down 2 meters, up 2 meters. If we are struggling with that to get the winch across there, we would cut a shelf, a temporary shelf across, plough across when we reinstate it back. It's a matter, it slows the system down, but it's all doable. Yes, wet ground with skids, like I was telling you earlier, it's down to 4.5 pounds per square inch. That is very low ground pressure. We've been in very, very wet places, SSI ground, and we've gone through with very minimal damage to it. We have to get a fair bit of work like that off Natural England to work in wet ground, because if somebody goes to dig a hole there, the trench is full of water instantly. With a plough going through, the services have been installed and nobody needs to go back there again. Yes, the machine can be very careful. It all depends how the way the job is set out. If we were laying ducts, the ducts would be welded in advance from us. When the machine comes up, picks it up, puts it in, and goes through the job. So the job gets reinstated. It can be done fairly efficient and tidy and clean. I would say yes. We would strip the topsoil and build a haul road, but we strip the topsoil, build a haul road, but it's there for a long time. It needs fencing as well. Then, if you're going through the middle of a field, and you've got cows on the bottom side of a field and cows on top field, you need to cross that. Sometimes you'll have a water trough on the top side of a field, but not on the bottom. You need to cross a water pipe for it. Also, then you will have a spread which could be 20 meters wide. So that is the cost between cost of fencing that and building roads in and pulling all the hedges out. Well, by using a cable plough, it's all done half that price. because it's come through the land and the land is back with the landowner then. So it's only every joint position you need access to then, not the whole cable route. So that's where we feel we're gaining on water pipelines, gas pipelines and electric lines then, by using the plough technology then. Yes, well, we've been at it a long time now. It takes a long time to prove to people new technology works. Our work volumes do increase, and the efficiency of a machine, the fuel usage, is ticking a lot of boxes when it comes down to the carbon footprint and things, and the speed we're going through the land. So we are busy enough, but I can see we are going to be busy, even busier then. I don't know. I wouldn't have 4 of them if it didn't work. I have 4 of these machines now. Don't intend buying any more. Just keeping what we got going. You just come. I don't know. The proof is in the pudding. You see the machine working. I can't tell you any more than that.